Hey, this is Anthony with RevZilla TV, where you can watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the brand new Schuberth SR1 helmet available at RevZilla.com. Now, many of you already know that RevZilla has been the largest Schuberth dealer in North America for some time. We're really fired up today to come to you with the brand new helmet in the Schuberth line. This is what I'm calling the new big brother, the SR1. It stands for Schuberth Racing 1. It is specifically designed to cater to the professional hardcore racer, and it is developed at a very high end from both a strength, safety, ventilation, aerodynamic, and in all honesty, if I look at it, I think they spent tons of time on the aesthetic as well here with the SR1. Extremely lightweight, using similar materials we've seen from Schuberth, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but with an injection of carbon fiber here, so it's a composite material. And really, the backstory on this helmet is that over a decade ago, you know, we've always seen Michael Schumacher. He's been wearing Schuberth forever, and you had an idea and an inkling of an idea to do a top-end race helmet. Schuberth's had the S1. They wanted to develop a successor to that helmet, which was really race-bred, race-inspired. So they tapped Schumacher. They tapped many European racers, and what they've done is over a decade of technology, they've ended up now finally with the Schuberth SR1. Now, the first thing I always like to do in these videos, I do like to start with fit. So before we get into any of the other breakdowns, let me talk really quickly about how it's going to fit. It's the ergonomic head shape from Schuberth. It's what we consider to be an intermediate oval head shape, but it's a little bit more ergonomic in the way that it should fit and encompass your head. Now, here on the SR1, I'm going to go flat out and say it. You're going to call me in the comments. Let's call it race fit. It is what it is. It's more snug. So you're going to feel it the way that you should feel it around the circumference of your head, up top, in your face, around your cheekbones, around the neck roll. It's going to feel more all-encompassing. We see this with other high-end manufacturers' race-inspired helmets. It's a more snug fit. This is not built for the everyday rider. This is the equivalent of, you know, I was going to say it's buying a Ferrari, which would make Schumacher happy. I'm going to say that this is a BMW CSL. So really think about that from the standpoint of the German engineers. They got to be happy. It's you buy the high-end M3 BMW, you've pulled the air conditioner out. It's not about creature comforts that you don't need. It's about specifics for the racetrack. So you're getting a lighter weight helmet, a more aggressive and aerodynamic helmet, but what you're not getting are some of the, you know, where the C3 might be a decibel level of 86 decibels. This decibel rating is going to be 88, so it's going to be slightly louder, but we all know that all professional racers wear earplugs, so that comes with the territory. So fit-wise, remember, intermediate oval head shape. It's going to have the same head mold as the S2 or the C3 helmet, but it's going to be more race fit, so it's going to fit a bit more snugly. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, again, I have my black version here, I have my technology graphic here in front of me. There are graphics and solids available. I'm going to stick with the technology graphic because I feel like some of the details of the helmet pop off it a little bit more. Let's walk into the creature comforts, into some of the nuances. Let's walk through all that is different about the SR1 compared to the other helmets in the Schuberth line and really what we've seen as a predecessor in their full face model range. First up, let's talk about the shell. It's the strong fiber component system, or the strong fiber material. So what that means is instead of spraying the material into the mold, what they have is a sandwiched material, which is it's Kevlar, Dyneema fiberglass. They've added carbon fiber now to that, all mixed with the resin. It becomes almost its own wafer material, or its own component that's sandwiched that then gets laid evenly through the helmet. So what you have is very strong, very lightweight, but evenness throughout it. So you're not going to have any extra thick spots. You're not going to have any thin points that might be weak points. You don't add any imperfection into the process of creating uniformity throughout the shell. Now, we talk about carbon fiber. Let's talk about the weight savings here. So again, having carbon fiber in the mix allows you to stay really strong and become really, really light. So what we're finding here with the DOT version is you're going to be just over that 3-pound mark, and that 3 pound, 4 ounces, 5 ounces mark once you hit for DOT certifications. The ECE European version is a little bit lighter, but again, their certification is different. The DOT version is also ECE rated, but to pass DOT standards, you have to beef it up slightly. This is a lighter helmet than the S2. This is the lightest helmet in the Schuberth range. And you can see here along the side, the line of it, the shell is very, very complete. Let's move from there. Let's talk about aerodynamics. It's a nice lead-in. This helmet can be worn in the upright position. It can be worn in the 3/4 position. It most certainly is designed to be in love with the tuck. The nice part about it is they've spent a lot of time on the aesthetic. It's extremely aggressive. Looks like it's going about 1,000 miles standing still. But also it's going to work really well. Wind tunnel testing they've spent a decade on this helmet. The other nice part, and we've seen this in some other really high-end race helmets, is you have, Schuberth calls this the D4 spoiler. With that spoiler up, and you're going to want to use it when you're in that tuck position, it adds about 60% more downforce to the helmet. So you're going to get greater downforce and stability to counteract that vacuum that's going to form behind the helmet when you're at speed in the race position. Easy to use with a glove on, easy to use with one hand, enough tension that it's not going to go down when it's getting hit at 160 miles an hour by the wind, but you can use it with your hand. Again, a really, really nice touch. You know, looking at the spoiler, looking at the profile from the side, again, that can lead us right into ventilation. So we talk about the air that's going to flow over the helmet. Let's talk about the air that flows in and through the helmet. A lot of new vents here on the SR1 that we haven't seen previously. So here, looking at the front, we're going to have our chin vent. You're going to see I'm moving my finger down here at the bottom. There's almost what feels like a semicircle or a half of a wheel. It's a 3-position chin vent that's behind these metallic grates, and it's either closed halfway or full open, and that's going to vent air to your mouth, to your cheeks, to your face. Now you have your traditional Schuberth style vent, which again has been redesigned to be aggressive to fit in here with the SR1. This vent is actually going to vent directly up through this ridge right here and vent onto the face shield. Now the SR1s all come with a pin lock. They're all pin lock ready, but they also come with a pin lock. So you're not getting a chemical coating for defogging, you're actually getting that pin lock system. But even further, to give you a chance to normalize CO2 levels within the helmet, to give you a chance to normalize the humidity in the helmet, you have that chin vent that's actually going to vent to the helmet shield, which is a really nice touch. Moving up from there, we see 2 big chimneys in the front. These chimneys have dials, or not dials, but really slides on top that are easily found with the glove, part of this cowl right here, and they open up to at least 10mm vent holes. And you can see them very clearly when I show you the EPS. You're going to see those holes. So air is going to come in through the front, and the beauty of it, and one of my favorite things about this helmet, it's very forward thinking, the vents are on a 45-degree angle in through the EPS. There are many times we see, in a less specific helmet, you're going to see those vents come straight down to the scalp in a 90-degree angle. Well, air's got to go in and make a right turn then and go down. That's not what you want. You want air coming in, being unencumbered, and going directly to the head. It goes in, 45-degree angle. There are 2 big channels, one on the right, one on the left, and what they do is they go back here, and you're going to see we have extractors along the back. These are not open and closable. They're permanently open. They're extractors that the vacuum behind the helmet will pull some of that warm, moist air off of your head, out of the helmet, but then further air is going to flow through 2 big channels that run all the way down through the neck roll and would exit down here along the back of the scalp. And again, giving you that airflow, it's going to flow with your head, pull the sweat down and away. The beauty of a race helmet that vents properly, if you're not overly hot, if you're not sweating, if there's no pressure points, if it fits correctly, it's all about focus on the racetrack. You want to be focused, dialed in the zone with the task at hand, which is operating the motorcycle. You don't want to be thinking about your gear, how it's performing, or even really noticing that you're wearing it. It just needs to be aerodynamic, not be encumbering in any way, and do its job in the case of a crash. So we have vents here. Now I want to comb in really quickly on something that you might be thinking is a side vent, but it's not. It's actually a really cool feature from Schuberth. This is the first time we've seen it on anything. It's called the NRS system, the noise reduction system. So what you have is really what Schuberth explained to me as windows here on the side. So open and close. And what that's going to allow you to do, think about it as peripheral hearing for your helmet. So typically a racer is going to wear earplugs. That's why the noise level of this helmet is going to be slightly more than a touring helmet. So if you think about that, you have an all-encompassing helmet. You're going to have earplugs in. You're going to be in a quieter environment. There could be instances, depending on the conditions, where you might want to hear on the periphery another motorcyclist, another racer, a competitor. You want to be able to hear what's behind you a little bit easier. You have the ability to open these windows, and on the inside there's a Velcro panel that's fabric that you can actually move. You can tune the level of hearing and sound that makes it through these areas of the helmet, even while wearing earplugs, so that you have the perfect balance of quiet as well as hearing when you need to hear. So we've talked about venting, we've talked about the windows here. Let's move our way around. I want to talk about another feature here, and it's a feature we're starting to see a lot of the high-end manufacturers come out with. I've seen some of the new AGV helmets recently that have done this. We see it now here on the SR1s coming first to market with this cutaway. This is a racer's cutaway. This is meant to interface with the back collar on a race suit. It's meant to interface with the hump. Every racer is going to hit a slightly different ergonomic position when they're in a tuck because every racer's body is slightly different. This gives you room to maneuver, room to wiggle. It creates a soft edge now that can interface with your suit. So some guys might be further back or further angled than others. Now you have a little bit of room to breathe. You're not going to run into the back edge or the neck roll of your helmet that's going to get in the way of your suit, especially at speed, especially at race conditions. So moving into the face shield, again, it's a step forward from Schuberth. It's a new quick release mechanism. We see we have our high-speed lock. Again, this is a component, open and closed, that is really a racer-driven component. But my favorite thing, other than the fact that I mentioned earlier, that this helmet, everyone will come with its own pin lock lens, which is it's a non-chemical way to do defogging. It's actually less temperamental, lasts longer in the long run. Schuberth has completely changed the way that their quick release system works, which is great. I mean, we already know that it's a polycarb shield. It's scratch-resistant coating. It's going to be optically correct to Class 1, which is phenomenal, which means it's as perfect as it can be, you know, from a clarity and lack of distortion standpoint. But what I have to do now to remove this shield is very simple, very fast. It's one of the fastest we've seen. We see our little man. Schuberth's going to get mad at me, but I call him Toad. I'm a child of the 80s. We grew up with Nintendo. I call him Toad, their little helmet guy. But you see his little logo on there. It's the Schuberth man with the helmet. I say that as a term of endearment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push in on both sides. And once I push in, all I now have to do is pull the shield up, and it pops right off. It's that simple. So the locking mechanism can't be any simpler. It's a premium shield. I've mentioned the features on the shield. The locking mechanism is super fast. Come in here tightly on the side, you're going to see the detents. You see that it's spring-loaded. You have multiple detents up and down. Again, very, very simple mechanism. So imagine you're on the racetrack. You're pulling in for a pit stop. You're an Isle of Man TT rider. They need to, you have tear-off posts, but you need to change your shield for whatever reason. This happens at the racetrack. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to push the buttons, flip it up, boom. Shield is away. To put it back on, you align it with the top. No fiddling. You snap it in, and you push it down. That's it. Very, very quick. Bravo, Schuberth. You've done another good job. We applaud the engineering of your products. Also noting, going around the bottom, coming up around the top, heavy-duty gasket. It's a gasket that we see inspired from the C3. We've seen them do great weatherproofing options. Again, if you're going to ride this and you're not a racetrack guy, if you're going to take this, or it's going to be your sport bike helmet and you get caught in the rain, you're going to be in great shape because Schuberth is forward-thinking. Both air and wind and rain, they're creating a great seal around this very dramatic eye port on the Schuberth helmet. Now, from there, let's go to the guts. So I'm going to pull out my trusty donut. Let's flip this bad boy on its side. Let's look at the bottom. There's a lot going on here. There's more than you probably realize. So at first glance, we're going to see, okay, intermediate oval head shape. It's going to be ergonomic in its shape. Now I have a neck roll here. Multiple things going on with the neck roll. So one, you're going to see venting back here. This mesh is the exhaust port for all of the channels that come down the back of your head that we talked about earlier. Then we move up. We see areas of reflectivity, safety feature if you're riding on the street. Moving past that, we have a rubberized coating. That's tiny little scales. They're not rough to the touch, but they are rubberized. I asked Schuberth directly, I said, that's a really neat little feature. I said, it's very cool. What does it do? And they said, well, you ever stick your helmet on your gas tank and have it slide off? Yeah, I said, yeah, there's rubberized coating now. It's not going to do that. So again, just forward thinking, very, very complete. And I talked earlier about this little widget right here, which is your mechanism that's going to open and it's going to close your front chin vent that vents to the face. Now moving past that, one thing, if I had to nitpick, there's no emergency cheek pad removal system on the helmet. Again, that's my nitpick. I haven't found a lot else that I didn't love about the helmet. I mean, I was in love with the not the graphic, but the shape of it. Moving into the features, it's a tremendous step forward. As we start to pull internal guts, double D-ring construction, it's what you'd expect on a race-driven helmet. Moving on to the inside, there's my neck roll, there's my cheek pad. One piece. Few different components here. We see more mesh that's going to allow your sweat to wick into this antimicrobial, antibacterial cheek pad that is wicking. It's going to keep you cool. It's going to allow the perspiration to come out. You see this around the temple. This would be on the side of your face. This is an area of a different density. We see this on the C3. This is meant so you could wear glasses inside the helmet and you're going to have an area that's going to have a little bit more give so those glasses aren't going to get pinched against your head. But I think the last thing, and I'm leaving it for last because it's my favorite thing about this lid or the way these cheek pads are designed, the interior along the liner that's going to touch your skin on your face, it's called thermacool. It's a CoolMax product. What thermacool is, it's that same CoolMax high-end wicking product that does all those things that CoolMax does so well, but it has a light ceramic coating on it, which you can't see and you cannot feel. How it works is it keeps the exterior of this pad cool. Everybody loves a cool pillow at the night. Imagine this helmet the same way. It's going to reflect heat. It's not going to absorb heat. It's going to feel cool to the touch, even in longer distance scenarios of riding it. So again, it's one of those creature comforts designed by Coolmax that Schuberth said, this is a phenomenal technology, and we're making an Apex product, which is the top of the food chain. Let's incorporate it. So there's my cheek pad. Remember, I talked about it being all-encompassing and very ergonomic. It's meant to be snug race fit. Moving past that, let's pull out the other one on the left side here. And I have my double D-ring. I probably want to undo that first. Double D-ring is still, the pads for the double D-ring, again, have that thermacool material. Oh, I have a snap here. That's why it's not pulling off. Another snap. 3 snaps and you're out. There's my other side. Now I start to get into the guts. Now I talked to you about the NRS system, the noise reduction system, which is the pad that's behind that window. That's right there. It has Velcro behind it, and it's movable. There's a full Velcro panel. So I'm going to pull out my NRS system. This is the tunable pad that goes between your ear and the helmet that covers the window. And this allows you to tune the sound. And again, for the professional racer, the guy that's spending lots of time on the track, you're going to be able to do that over the course of a couple rides or a couple laps, and you should know where you want to be, what's most comfortable for you. So pull that out. It's on both sides. And now I get into my comfort liner. And again, with the comfort liner, there's a lot going on as well. The first thing you're going to notice is that the comfort liner doesn't have any snaps on it. I love this feature. It's one of my favorite. It connects at the neck roll at the bottom of the helmet in the back, and then along the front, it connects to the plastic along the brow, which isn't actually touching your head. It's right where the face shield would come down on the helmet. By not having any pressure points, either on the back of your head or the front of the head, you're giving yourself the chance to not have hot spots. The other thing I want to note, and everybody knows that there are certain folks out there that have either a very long oval head or maybe a more round head that would notice a pressure point on some of the other Schuberth helmet models in the front. And again, that's just not being the ideal head shape. What they've done on this helmet to make this helmet more accessible for more people is that they've changed the way that the seam is up here. It's no longer a 3D seam. There's no longer a flap to cover the vent holes. If we look at it from the front, come in really tightly right there, you're going to see that window. What that's done is to allow you to connect the comfort liner of the helmet without giving you anything at the point of your forehead, which will create a pressure point over time. Again, we see a lot of the things that helmet manufacturers at the high end do so well. It's a 3D, very ergonomic comfort liner. Notice big cutaways to expose vent channels. You have mesh in areas that are areas that need to pull things together but don't need to be strong the way it's connected. And again, it's meant to be very, very comfortable. You even have padding down here along the back, even though this is an area that's actually off the back of your head. So it's very, very finished. Venting along these back channels as well. I'm going to move past the comfort liner. Now let's move into the EPS. This is an EPS that we've seen the similar style of EPS from from Schuberth rather. And as I bring it up here, you're going to see those big 45-degree angle vent holes that I talked about earlier. And they're going to be right there where my finger is. And what they're going to do is the air is going to come in on a 45-degree angle. You can see that there's kind of that wedge shape up there. It kind of makes a little bit of a loop that leads all the way to the extractor vent, which is the vent that's up here a little bit higher in the frame. And then that's going to run all the way down to the vents that I talked about that would go back by the neck roll. So there are these vents down here, these channels that come all the way down the back of the head. And again, they're 10+ millimeter vent holes, 10 liters of air per second, and it's all going to flow directly from front to back and exhaust the helmet and hopefully keep you cool. That said, that's a mouthful. There's a lot going on here. You're talking about an Apex product over 10 years in development. Schuberth doesn't mess around. Schuberth's German engineering, we've seen them apply this technology at multiple different price points of helmets, multiple different applications of helmets. I'm really excited to see what the market says about really starting to put this helmet through its paces, but something tells me that the Germans at Schuberth in Germany are thorough enough that they already know what the market's going to say. We've been impressed with the step forward, and we're impressed with the aesthetic as well, to marry the beauty as well as a lot of the functional components that we just finished talking about. You know, I didn't even think that I mentioned that there's the anti-roll-off system with the helmet. So again, it's all of those safety features all wrapped into one with the Schuberth. I want to hear your comments. I want to see them on our YouTube page. I want to know what you think at first glance. If you think that it's a rock solid helmet, what the features are that jump out as you as be the most important things that would make that leap up into this spectrum of technical product. Or if there's anything that you wish they would have included, anything you want to nitpick, I want to hear it. We want to hear it at RevZilla TV. Leave us your comments on our YouTube page, which you can always subscribe to, on the product page or the page you're watching this video. Also on the product page, we have Q&A, we have product reviews at RevZilla.com. We always want to hear riders' feedback. It's very important to us. If you have any questions about the Schuberth SR1, the Schuberth line, the Schuberth graphics that come from, how to fit it, anything along those lines, shoot us a line. See us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. You can talk to any of our geeks on staff. We all ride. We're always happy to walk you through the process. As always, it's over $39. We'll ship for free, exchange for free, no restock fee if you need to send it back to us. You can find the Schuberth SR1 at RevZilla.com/Schuberth. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.